Welcome to Love and Waves. My name's Alix. I'm a quantum energy healer and a holistic self-mastery coach. And I have a bag of tricks and hacks that can help raise your level of frequency along with some of this work and some of the things that I teach you here on this podcast, as well as in my website and the things that I offer, because there's nothing more important that you come into an alignment in order to work with what's happening on the planet now, with all this phase shift that's happening and the energy frequency of the planet and us that's going up, in order to deal with what's coming up that is not in alignment with this higher level, this higher frequency that is coming in. We need to learn how to clear that stuff out with grace. So we want to go into alignment, connect with a higher source, move out of separation consciousness into unity consciousness. And we have the power to do this with our choices, with our attention. So on the last episode, which I'm going to link down below, I talked about how the absolute perfection of source comes down into our subjective experience of that. And we are a fractal of it. So we have that power, but we also live in this third dimension of duality where we get to choose. We have this free will to choose to be in alignment with that higher power or to serve ourselves and use that power that we have in a selfish way. And when we use it in a selfish way to take and keep and control and try to, manipulate outcomes and create these outcomes in the outer world to try to bring joy, we are completely negating the fact that our outer world is just a mirror of what's in our inner world. It's like trying to rearrange the mirror and expecting our lives to change. No. That just takes more and more control, more stress, more fear of loss, more all that stuff, because we're using that amazing power to serve only ourselves as a separated individual self. And what is that small self? It's called our ego. It's what we identify to be true for who we are. It is programmed as, it's carried on through ancestry. It is in the media, right? It's the environment that we're in. It's anything that we give emotion to that is what we believe to be true for us, for who we are, all of our identities. And our ego can look like pride, and it can look like total self-condemnation. And it can act up in so many different ways. And that is the indication of where you are in the levels of consciousness, which I've shared before. And the way to know kind of where you are on these levels of consciousness is by whether or not you feel a contraction in a moment or expansion in a moment. And you will find that in any given moment, you could be anywhere on the scale, but you have a set point from which you pretty much operate, right? And you will find that when you are in these lower frequencies, which more than 80% of the planet is, that you're going to have more suffering and you won't be healing. And the goal here is to work up into where you have this expansion and you're moving into flow and healing, and then into these higher levels of love and joy and peace and unconditional love, which will heal everything and bring you so much cooperation when you choose on that side of what's in alignment with what's highest and best. So it's kind of like when we come down from the level of, Christ consciousness or, source consciousness, the highest levels, those peak levels, as we come down, we start to separate into being able to choose this way or this way. That's our subjective experience. That's our power in this dual universe we live in. But again, we choose which side we're going to activate. And how do we activate it? With our emotion. Okay? So thoughts are neutral. They are released from the body, from what's stored, which wants to come out. They are collected into a specific frequency bandwidth. And they're just like a ticker tape of thoughts that are just out there. It's like the universal mind at that level of frequency you're tuned in. So everyone's contributing to it, right? It's like that collective consciousness, and you're tuning into a specific frequency bandwidth, and that is where the ticker tape of thoughts are going all the time. And depending on if your focus is in the past or the future, in that horizontal way, you're going to pick up on the thoughts that you identify with and make true for yourself. And then you're going to energize those with your emotion. Maybe you're angry. You pick up on these angry thoughts and you start energizing it with more anger, and that creates more and more. all of that is distorting and pointing into you. I talked about this in that last episode. So definitely go back to that to understand. And those distortions get trapped in your body, in your field, and they attract accordingly, right? Your level of experience, your level of experience is based on your perspective, that's based on this level that you're tuned into predominantly, and then it recreates itself because that's what you're stuck in, right? And then it spits out more like thoughts, and it's just this spin, and it can take lifetimes to get out of that unless you bring your attention straight out, right? It's almost like your own little prison of that level, but you can go up. You can go up, and it takes that courage. It takes a willingness. It takes acceptance. It's a courage to not have to be right all the time, to not judge everyone, to realize we all have our own levels. And it takes a willingness to see things differently and a humility. And then it takes also that willingness and acceptance of the moment to be able to get present with it and choose differently. Okay. And I talk about this in all of these episodes so far. I think this is probably, episode 8. Please go back. If you want to change the quality of your life, go back and listen to these, because I really pick at all of this and it'll start to really sink in. It's higher concepts, but the more you hear it, the more it's going to sink in, and you're going to realize it's really not that difficult. I mean, not that it's simple, but it's not that easy, but it's also not that difficult once you get a momentum going. And what is that momentum based on? It's your attention. And this is what I was saying in the last one. How do we change this? We have to pay attention to what thoughts we're grabbing hold of and energizing with our emotion. We have to pay attention to whether or not we are feeling contraction or expansion. And if we're feeling contraction, then we know that we're energizing the thought we just picked up, or the idea, or the whatever, or set of thoughts, or we're reacting to something with an emotion that is now energizing it and creating more of it. Or we can notice that contraction, recognize, this is not in alignment with how source sees this. That's why I feel the contraction. My body is telling me, literally your body will tell you. And that means I need to choose again. I need to choose what's in the highest and best. How do you do that? Sometimes you just got to sit with that for a little bit and let those emotions just be. Stop thinking. Get out of your mind. Just let the emotions be for a moment until it settles down, and then bring it into the heart and say, okay, what is a better way for me to see this? How can I bring love to the situation? How can this be a win-win situation? How can I serve others by being kinder in this way? Or do I have to say that? Do I need to reinforce my pride here? Is that going to give me some, this is where that presence and that moment of bringing it to the heart, I'm going to keep doing this, will then inform your mind with a positive emotion, an expansive feeling, and a new choice. And this is a moment to moment to moment practice. And it's difficult because we're not really conscious and aware of the present moment. This is really all we have to work with, is the present moment. The past is where our mind is, and we're trying to control the future. We're worried about, not getting what we had in the past. We want to change it, and then we're worried about the future, and then we're trying to control the outcomes and keep things in check and blah, blah, blah. And when it doesn't happen, we get angry. And when some things do happen, it's like, I did that. I'm so proud of myself. And these things are literally just going to keep us stuck in those lower emotions and in a lower quality of life. We're going to attract what we are. And so to change your level of attraction, to change the quality of your life, the perspective of your life, and the bandwidth that you now have a higher level of more kind thoughts to choose from, you'll have less and less contraction, more and more expansion. And then that momentum starts to really, really kick in. Because once you tune into the higher, self, or, into that more source, Christ consciousness, if you will, higher consciousness, the more you do that, the more power you have. It's exponential. I mean, it is logarithmic, the difference between being in the lower emotions and in the higher ones. And these are very much aligned with our chakras. So, the root chakra, the sacral, and the solar plexus are the lower. And that's where all of these distortions get stuck. And we stay here. We're moving into the heart now. We're going for love, which is that 500 point, and unconditional love, which is unity consciousness. We're moving into that. And that is where your entire quality of life will change. Healing takes place, miracles happen, and manifestations are instant. And you can be in this world and everything is seen differently. And I had done one of these I did I talked about like looking at the levels as sort of grades that we need to graduate from kindergarten to first to second to third. We're all exactly where we need to be. There's no judgment in where we are. It's just, do we want to go to the next grade? Do we want a higher quality of life? And you see more from each level of perspective. You have access to more and much less, judgment about anything, right? It just becomes like acceptance. And then from acceptance, you can start to love the totality of what's happening, and that there's just a grand purge happening right now. The planet is purging. We are purging. As all of this frequency is going up, as everything's in a phase shift right now to the next level, to the next density, we don't have a choice in this. It's happening. It's burning out everything that's unlike itself, and itself is going higher. So do we want to act and work with this and surf this wave, or keep fighting it? So your attention is everything. How do you build better attention? Obviously, stilling the mind is the best way. And that takes time, because if you remember that ticker tape of thoughts in your band of frequency, that collective consciousness that you are tuned into, when that ticker tape's going, it's going. So when you're meditating, you'll notice these thoughts, and your mind will grab hold of something and say, I am this, and that reminds me of that. And it starts to try to keep its ego self in place. That's what the ego does. It just wants to feel safe and in control, and it wants what it wants, and it will do anything it can to get it, right? And that is separation consciousness. It's based in fear. There's lack of love there. And when you move into love, it's exactly the opposite. And that ticker tape is, first of all, very, very slow. But what it is, wow, look at this I can be grateful for. Look at the beauty in that. You start to see a whole different reality, because your band frequency is in love, is in unity. It is in kindness and care. It's in seeing yourself in another. In that mirror reflection of your inner world is being reflected in the beauty in your outer world. So your outer world is telling you, is indicating to you what's going on in your inner world, and how you predominantly feel tells you where you are in that inner world. So we got to clear that, right? Gross purification is clearing all of the distortions out of the body. The body wants to expel this stuff. And again, as the planet frequency is going up and all the sun, the photonic light's coming in, it is literally rising the stuff out of the body right now. This is why people are getting more and more sick and viruses express the way they do. We have to remove that stuff. This is the energy work that I do. And I'm going to do a whole new video just on what that really is and what it's doing. It's really hacking at the trapped stuff. And what happens when we don't remove that stuff is all of those lower distortion emotions and trapped traumas and all of that stuff. Not only does it create dis-ease in the body, but it also opens itself up as a portal for more negative things to come in, right? Other thoughts, other people's energies, the cords from relationships that continue to feed the negativity. There's all kinds of things that happen. And I'll talk about that a little bit more, but we need to remove this stuff and bring our higher self in, embody light in the body so that there's no room for that. It's almost like every distortion is a way in for unconsciousness to deliver more of the negativity. It feels almost evil in a way, but it's those torsion fields that are coming back in and are destructive. They're self-destructive. So by blasting with light and consciousness and awareness and a new choice that's informed by the heart, you really, truly are bringing that higher self in to occupy and move out any room, any of these holes that are literally pulling in and attracting more yuck into the body, in that alignment of, if you're in fear, then, and you have trapped emotions, then everything that's coming in is going to be in alignment with fear, and it's going to riddle you with it. And you'll feel it. You will feel the discomfort. It will happen in many, many different ways, in the mind, in the body, in your relationships, in everything, lack of fulfillment in your life. But as you plug this all up with light, actually blast it out, overwrite it with a higher frequency, it literally will overwrite it, which is how I do the energy work, by the way. I literally overwrite it with love, and it cannot exist in the light. You shine light on something that's dark and it goes away. We have that power, but if we don't bring consciousness to it, it won't happen. So this is the work. So we clear it out of the body, then we got to work with the mind as well, because the thoughts of the mind are usually just being informed by the body because we're not conscious and aware to make another choice. So your body's putting out all this thoughts in a way, right? That's informing the thought ticker tape. And then we're focused on the past or the future. So we're not even present to it. So we can't make another choice. It's just automatic. It's the body mind is what it's called. And we can't live on the body mind and expect any change in our life. We have to bring light and consciousness. Consciousness is light. Awareness is consciousness. And we can override it, but it takes that presence. So meditation is really, really important. I won't go into a whole thing about meditation. Inner child work, right? Just loving your inner child and letting her cry or him or whatever, and let some of this stuff out, sitting with your stuff, allowing the feelings to just be, right? This is all that, shadow work, inner child work. Sit with your shit. Let it come out. Don't inform it with any more thought. Just quiet the mind and just let yourself cry or let yourself feel whatever's happening until it passes. Then that trapped thing is moving its way out. And then we bring consciousness to it. What did I feel today? What happened today? What did I learn from that? You can do a little journaling. That really helps as well. And this can really start to up spiral you. And it takes courage, right? It takes a courage. It takes a willingness. It takes a willingness to be humble and to not judge others. It takes an acceptance of what is in the world. It takes reason, a higher mind, and using your smarts to learn more about something, to actually understand what's happening. That's what I'm doing this for you to understand and take control of the quality of your life and what you can bring out to the world and to heal, right? And so this is a lot of the work. Now, what I do, obviously, it's not why I'm doing this. This just needs to come out of me. But the things that I've learned to do is hack at the body with detox and high nutrition. That's one way. You can hack at the full body and the frequency of the body with these activating patches that I have that can totally overwrite a third of your genome, reboot it with all this energy, which will activate your stem cells. It does all kinds of things. And it brings your mind into coherence. I mean, it's incredible what that can do. You can learn about that on my site. That's a hack. And then you can also work with mindset work. And then, of course, this purification. And then the big work that I'm doing is clearing these energies and distortions that are showing up in your circuits and systems, in your body as entities and attachments, in the beliefs that you have, what you're broadcasting unconsciously, which is then pulling back in. We can clear that stuff out. All of this energy work can be done remotely and can knock out 10 different whole things a day, if you will, that's going to really up level and give you an opportunity to change the quality of your life by removing this stuff, literally going and mining it and removing it. Now, I use kinesiology for that. I will do a video on that separately, but just know that it is absolutely incredible work. And it's just incredible work. You can also go and find a sound therapy, somebody who uses tuning forks, things like that. There's sound frequencies, there's light therapies, there's all kinds of alternative therapies that can help you to change the frequency of your body and bring the stuff out, right? But you got to work with the mind as well and bring a level of consciousness. Be willing to feel your stuff, let it out. These are different purifications that are going to bring you up that scale, that are going to bring the whole quality of your life up and start to bring on healing and peace and love and joy and all the things you want. So that's where I'm going to end this one. Your attention is the most important thing. Bring that attention to your moments and choose a path that feels expansive. And if it takes a little moment to just let some stuff out, bring it through the heart until you can make an expansive choice, so be it. But that's the healing work. That is the work. If you don't want to do any of this, you wouldn't even be listening to this part. So I need not say anything. So if you want to take a 15-minute call with me, please do. There's a link somewhere down below here and we can chat about this. I can just help lead you to something. You don't have to work with me. That's definitely a much more aggressive, let's get her done. I wouldn't say aggressive. That's probably not the right word. It's quite gentle actually. But there's many, many things you can do. Now, what I don't necessarily recommend is trying to always go to your mind to heal, because you won't get far with it. Your mind is only going to continue with what it knows because the ego will just take over that. You want to bring presence and bring it to the heart and start to pay attention and ask for a higher choice, because the mind that got you here won't get you there. I did a whole video on that. So just be humble enough, be courageous enough, be willing enough to see it differently and to take another stab at it, right? To not judge, to let people be where they are, to be accepting of the moment and what's happening. And how can I bring a higher frequency to this, a new perspective to this? Because who you are is what you will attract. And it is that frequency that literally is who you are. It's who you are. So do you want to be in separation consciousness in that low frequency, or do you want to move into a unity consciousness on the way up, all the way up to that, which is going to bring nothing but harmony and coherence and health and joy and love and purpose and meaning and all the good things, all the things. So that's a lot, but I hope that this resonated. And if you're still here, then definitely I want to hear from you. Please leave a comment, like this video if you enjoyed it, if you got value from it, and tune in again. I might have a third part on this. I might keep them connected. I'll try to connect this with the last one, but quite frankly, all of the videos really lead into this. And the more you listen, the more it's going to sink in and it's going to start to click. It'll start to click. And then you're going to realize that all you need to do in reality, let yourself feel your stuff, be present, be still the mind, and choose what's in the highest and best in service to others versus service to self. And know that you will know, you'll come to know as a knowing, as a true discernment, that what you are doing is going to 100% come back to you in waves. Love in waves. You put it out in a high frequency, it comes back tenfold in a high frequency, or 100-fold. So that's the goal. All right. Thanks so much for being with me. I will see you next time on Love and Waves.